Hello everyone and good evening. Welcome to Purpose University. Is another session where I bring to you teachings on living a life of purpose, embracing your superpower, living powerful lives. And today especially we want to look at maybe some of the reasons why we don't quite why we're not living life at the level at which we should be living it, what's responsible for that, and what it is that we can do to make sure that we block that hole or plug it, better still, plug it with something so that our lives will be more powerful and more fulfilled life. Before we start, I'd like us to pray and then have you invite your brothers and sisters to come in and join us. Our Father and our God, we thank you for another opportunity to learn at your feet. We commit today's session into your hands, oh God. Teach us of yourself. May we understand why we yearn and what we yearn for. And may we find a way to be able to feel you today, to feel that yearning with you today in the name of Jesus. I submit to the Holy Spirit and I ask, sweet Spirit of God, that you will speak through me this evening and let all the glory, all the honor, and all the adoration come to God the Father. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. So good evening, welcome. Please pick up your phone, send a WhatsApp message, whatever you need to do so that your brothers and sisters can come in. My name is Bidemi Mark-Mordi and I'm the VC. Don't ask what VC means, okay? I'm the VC of Purpose University, and our Purpose University will teach you how to discover who you are in God so that you might live powerful lives. In 4 words, it's a place where you come so that we can help you become. 3 words actually. Help you become. To help you become whoever God has called you to be. That's what this is about. When we started this 3 sessions, the first session we looked at the DNA of purpose. Essentially, we looked at what the purpose conversation is about. One big distinction that we made in that first session was to talk about the difference between purpose and assignment, and to highlight for everyone that what we should pursue is assignment, because we all have one universal and one generic purpose. The second time we looked at something we called native abilities, and we talked about the things that were native or germane to us that become the tools by which we live our lives as children of God and purposeful people. Today's class is not a very long one. It is called the God-sized Yearn. That is not long does not mean that it's not as powerful. It's just as powerful as the first 2 sessions we've had. And the reason why I do this free sessions once in a while is just to keep people going in the conversation that is the purpose conversation. Like I said when we started, purpose is one of the greatest taught or most taught topics in the entire world. And it is not restricted to the Christian faith. It's something that is taught every single place. Every single place you go, purpose is being taught. However, how it is taught is one thing, and whether those who are teaching it understand what they teach is another thing entirely. So today we want to look at the God-sized Yearn. Now, I've seen homeless people, I mean people who live under the bridge, who have big dreams. And when you sit with them and you ask them about themselves and what their dreams are, it's amazing the things you will hear them say that God is put in their hearts to do. Yet when you look at them with the eyes of life as it is, the tendency is to think that they don't deserve to dream because of the state in which they are living right now. And then I've found really stupendously rich people who have everything that you and I yearn and hustle and pray and fast for, and yet they have this gap or this gaping hole inside of them that all their wealth, all their connections, all their money, all their everything has refused to fill. What is the difference between these two people? And what is the similarity between them? These are some of the things we'll be looking at. Now, if you have never heard before, but I'm sure you have heard me teach out of Genesis chapter 1 before, you would hear me talk a lot about the fivefold mandates that God is giving to man. Today we have about 5 modules or sections that we're looking at under the God-sized yearn. We will look at the fivefold mandate and what it stands for, and we'll walk it all the way through to when man fell. We'll look at the fallout of man. From there we'll go to the consequence of the fallout. We'll look at the consequence of the fallout, and then we'll look at, I think we'll have 4 modules. Then we'll look at how man seeks to deal with the fallout of the fall, or the consequence of the fall, and we'll tie everything together in the way you and I are living our lives today. So the first thing, like I said, is to remind us again that in Genesis chapter 1:26, we're created in the image and likeness of God. In Genesis chapter 1:28, God gave us a 5-fold mandate. And the mandate is to be fruitful, to multiply, to replenish the earth, to have dominion, and to subdue it. In one word, if you take this 5-fold mandate, we have been put on earth to do what? To rule. Rulership is our thing. That's the reason why we're here. And the reason why we're here is because God has finished all of the work. God doesn't work anymore. I've said this many times, but if I don't lay this foundation, it may be difficult for those who are joining us for the first time to understand the groove of what it is I'm talking about when I begin to hone in on the God-sized yearn. But the thing is, because God stopped working at the end of creation, and He handed the reins of rulership to man, man is in charge of the territory called the earth. Now, I don't know whether I've said this before, but my students in Purpose University will tell you that I have told them that there's a difference between the earth and the word. Now, when you hear it, when we use it, most of the time we use them interchangeably. We think that the earth is the same thing as the word, but the earth is not the same thing as the word. The earth is the expanse, this one, the land, the sea, and all of these things, the firmament, if you like, the portion called the earth is the brick and mortar, if you like. The word, on the other hand, are the systems that govern the earth. The word, W-O-R-L-D, are the systems that govern the word. So that govern the earth. So the earth has been given to man, but there are systems that govern the earth, and those systems is what we refer to as the word. Now, I want you to just pack that down because I need to go back. I'll be making allusion to scriptures, but I won't be reading because this isn't really a Bible teaching. This is getting you to understand who you are and getting you to grow and to be able to embrace your superpower and get you to the place where you can live a fulfilled life. That's what all of this is about. So now, I said that God gave us a 5-fold mandate in Genesis 1:28. And the mandate is that we will be fruitful, we will multiply, we will replenish the earth. We will subdue it and we will dominate the earth. But after God gave man this mandate, man did move a limb because man had not even manifested in the flesh. So in Genesis chapter 2, God eventually manifested man. And after God manifested man, in verse 7, He breathed upon man and man became a living soul. Now, I said it when we looked at the very first class in this series, that when you hear that man became a living soul, it is possible that you may be prone to think that what that meant was that man could breathe. I made the case that everything that God created can breathe. Animals can breathe, even plants breathe. So it's not the function of being able to breathe that makes man a living soul. What makes man a living soul is that by what God has given him, by what God has given man in that breath, man has now gotten to that place. Man has gotten to that place where man has a portion of God inside of him. Now, of course, God doesn't waste anything. So he didn't put a portion of himself in man so that man can come to the earth and faff around. He put his portion in man so that man can carry out the assignment of rulership properly. So in Genesis chapter 7, God made sure that man received of himself. And after that, the Bible says man became a living soul. It meant that man now had the capacity and the authorization to do stuff in the earth that God has ordained for man to do. As we go on in Genesis chapter 2, we find out in verse 15 that God now, planted a garden. That's how the scriptures say it. Planted a garden and put man in the garden to tend it. So if we walk backward, man couldn't really do anything. If you even look at Genesis chapter 2, verse 5, the earth was, God could not even rain upon the earth so that vegetation would not grow because there was no one to tend the earth. But in chapter 2, verse 7, he breathed upon man. So man now had the authorization to be able to, man had not manifested and he had the authority in him and the empowerment in him to do the work of tending the garden. It was only after that God manifested the garden. He planted a garden. Then he put man in the garden and he gave him express instructions. Tend this garden, keep it, eat from this, eat from that, don't touch this. So that became the life that man lived. But of course, man also had an enemy, the devil, who by extension is against everything God, is anti-God. So if you look at Genesis chapter 3, the devil swung into action and started to try to get man to relinquish his authority, because what God gave to man in Genesis chapter 2 in asking him to plant the garden was that God gave him the capacity to be able to rule the earth. Whatever man said became the law in the earth, which was why God brought the animals to man, and man named the animals, and whatever man called the animals, that was what it was. So that was the way God set it up. But by the time the devil came and started to ask Eve and everybody questions, asked Eve questions about what God had said and what God had not said, there was a distortion in the narration. And in that process, man fell. In falling, what man did was that man lost his authorization to be the ruler of the earth. What the devil came for was not the earth. What the devil came for was the authority with which man ruled. So in man falling, the devil now had laid hold on the authority. And because of that, there was nothing else that man would do that would work. As a matter of fact, when God came into the garden, man realized that because he lost that authority, his relationship with God was also truncated. And in that truncation came a whole mirage of things. But that's not, like I said, it's not a preaching. So after man fell and he lost the authority to rule the earth, the devil now had this authority, which was why man hid when God showed up in the garden in the cool of the day. So fast forward, God eventually gets man and woman to own up to what they had done. And God releases what I call the consequence of that fall. And the consequence was that man will now need to toil. The Bible said it is of the sweat of his brow that he would eat. So what man got effortlessly proud to this time, man now had to process, man had to work for. So not work, I don't like the expression work because it distorts the principle of work. Man now had to toil to be able to eat, to be able to do the things that he was just doing effortlessly because he had authority. Just to say that when man loses authority in anything, he begins to struggle. But let's park that aside. Now man had fallen, he's lost authorization for the earth, the authorization to rule the earth, and the devil now had this authorization. So automatically what happens? God shows up and man is sent out of the garden. So on top of the fact that he had lost everything that he had, he now has also lost his place of abode. That started the generation of the wanderings and the generation of the roamers. When I say roamers, R-O-A-M-E-R-S. So man started to roam. From that point on, man now needed to build to a city for man to be able to live in a city. Man had to cultivate the land for man to be able to feed, and all of that and all of that. From that moment until the end of the age, what man has been doing is trying to get back. Now someone will say to me, Stabi, but Jesus died and he redeemed us. Yes, he redeemed us, but because a consequence had already been spoken, man still needed to work his way back to the authorization. What he got by as a gift and he lost, he had to now contend for to get. So that started a journey, and that's the journey we're on. Now the fallout of this is that in the garden, like I said, man got kicked out. He had to toil through his way to regain his authority. And of course, the battle line was drawn. God said to the woman, he said, from this moment, the seed of the woman, he said, your seed will crush the head of the serpent. And he said to the serpent, your seed will bruise the heel of the seed of the woman. So the battle line was drawn, and that meant that every time man showed up, the devil was bound to resist him. And every time the devil showed up, man was supposed to do his best to cast the devil down. So let's go on from there. The battle line has been drawn, and from that point on, man began his quest to regain his authority. Now, remember that what we're talking about is the God-sized yearn. But I have drawn you a map so that you will see the beginning and see where we're at. Now that we're out of them, let's go on. Of course, the devil will not fold his hands as man is now on a quest to regain his place. The devil too has consistently perfected his act of deceit and counterfeiting. Anything to make sure that man is distracted enough not to gain back his authority. The devil is game. For you to know how serious it is. That's why when Jesus, after he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, the devil still led him to the top of the very high mountain and said to him, look at this, I will give them to you. Because that authorization, even in Jesus' time, is in the hands of the devil, or was in the hands of the devil. So this tussle is on. But let's look at, we'll go through I'll just continue to tell you this story so that you can see where you are. Now, before I continue, let me ask you a question. How many of us finished school on time? How many of us got great jobs immediately? How many of us started to earn money? A lot of us started to do well pretty early. But how many of us how many of us have even risen to positions where other people envy us? But when you are alone, your best or your favorite expression is a sigh. You sigh because the money you've made and you've saved and all the investments you've made have not been able to deal with the hunger on the inside of you. I have sat across the table with 70-year-olds whose main question or a conversation is, if I only knew why I'm here. I've sat across the table from 18-year-olds, my own children, telling me if I just had clarity about why God puts me on earth, my life will be together. I have talked to people who, by all standards, are doing really well. They have not retired, so it's not a matter of they're retired and they are, they are idle. They are gainfully employed and meaningfully employed right now. But when you talk to them, they are empty. That emptiness is what we want to look at today. What is it about man that man is consistently on a quest to feel something on the inside of him? And what is that thing? Why is that hole so massive that man is not able to feel it? So because of that, we medicate on many things. Today we are happy because we just built a new house. 5 years down the line, there's another hunger. We want to do something else just to assuage the hunger. So we go and we build a bigger house, or we buy a bigger house. We are happy for a couple of years. Then the pain and the agony sets in again. Then we go and build an estate. Then we're happy for like 3 months. The thing is, with each thing you do to be able to quench this thirst on the inside, the shorter time lifespan it has to quench the thirst before you have to wake up and begin to look for something else. And because of that, man is consistently on a hustle. Man is consistently on a bustle. Man is charging to find why he is empty. Insatiable. Yes, that is the conversation. That is the big Oyinbo for it, you get. So you find yourself just never really satisfied. If you're single, you think, oh, when I just marry, my life will come together. You marry and if you're lucky, the first 5 months, there's no quarrel. You're doing honey, sweetheart. And then after that, you begin to really see that this person wasn't perfect after all. He or she begins to see that you are not perfect after all. So everything, the ideal or the idea you had or the dream you had that this will complete you, you find that it is not able to complete you. Then you say, oh, maybe if we started our own businesses. So you leave your jobs, you go, you get into a business, you begin to do really well. And you think, yes, I have arrived. But something just happens and you find out that you are not quite arrived. Not at all. You are still at that place where many things are not together. Then someone says to you, oh, you need to become a Christian. When you get born again, all of this will be together. You get born again. You go through the new believers class. You join the workers force. And yet there is a yearning. So if even born again Christians still have these things, this whole inside of them, they're doing everything. They are praying, they are fasting, they are giving, they are doing the whole 9 yards. Yet they feel like something is missing. What is this thing? That's the question we want to ask. And that's the question I'm hoping that I can point you in the direction of the answer today. The fallout is man and God and the devil have gotten into a tussle, or man and the devils rather, have gotten into a tussle to get this rulership back. So man began to find ways because the devil is not sitting on his fanny waiting for you to come and get. And so consistently you find man creatively trying to get this thing back. In the days of Cain and Abel, what did we see? Cain knew what the template was. Abel knew what the template was. But Cain was in a hurry. So he wouldn't go through the template. He won't follow the template. He decided to do a shortcut. Of course, shortcut doesn't work. He gets in the place of envy. As if envy was not enough, he pushed himself till he got into the place of murder. And then he became a vagabond. All of this in a bid to do what? To complete something. Meanwhile, all that God said to Cain was, if you do well, will you not be accepted? What does God mean by do well? Because if you read that story in Genesis 4, it is not that Cain did not bring something. It is that he brought something that was not accepted. So what did God mean by doing well? Then man moved away from there. If you get to Genesis chapter 5 into chapter 6, the sons of God began to marry the sons of man. What was this? Or what is this rather? Man thought, okay, maybe if we have great romance, maybe we deal with this thing that is this hunger that is inside of us. So they even contravened the rules for romance. They just wanted. They thought about it. Maybe, I don't think that earthly marriages can cover this. Earthly marriage may not be able to block this. So let it be a marriage between the sons of God and the sons of men. They tried it. It did not work. The fallout is they had more wickedness spread in the earth. Then they moved away from there. And they went into the place. The Bible said wickedness increased in the land. If you look at chapter 6, it says wickedness increased to the extent that God wanted to kill. With this, what's the word I'm looking for? With this hunger, with this yearning, with each yearn, man got creative. He's trying to cover this up. He's trying to cover this up. And with everything he tries to cover it up, he breaks a bit more. With everything he tries, he breaks a bit more. When wickedness show up, increased disobedience show up, increased focus on self showed up, sin became the order of the day. Then God saw Noah, and the Bible said Noah found grace or favor in the sight of God. God picked a man, isolated him in an ark, destroyed or wiped out the entire earth, released this man after over a year plus. This man comes out, But the sin nature is still inside of them. That gap is still there. That hole is still there. They still can't feel it. Not even the preservation of God could feel it. The daughters decided that they wanted the lineage to continue. The sons, all kinds of things were happening. The next thing, Noah started to drink. The sons saw him and they had lost the place of honor. Everyone is trying to make a point. So the youngest son saw their father naked and called everybody and said, come and see, oh, look at our father. And that placed a curse upon them. So man consistently continued to degenerate. And even after Jesus, man, in a bid to hold his own, is consistently degenerating. Let's come to our generation today. Take a look at yourself and ask and tell me, what is this with rape? That is the order of the day. What is it with old men running after the smallest girls in their neighborhood? So everybody is trying to prove themselves. What is it with women having toy boys? Everyone is trying to prove a point that I'm still relevant. Why are people oppressing other people with money? Because that person is trying to prove that he has authority, he has power. What is the use of all the money we have if all we can do with it is use it against each other? What is wrong with us? Why is it that you thought that the job will complete you? Now you've barely been at the job for 4 years and you hate it with a passion. You are looking for another job. A rat race. We're consistently going. We are consistently going. In all of this, it says man's needs are insatiable, or his wants are insatiable. What can fill this? I've lived for a long time, and maybe not as long as some of you, but long enough for me. And I have met quite a number of people in the course of my life, even if I just meet them in a bus, or I meet them in a salon or in a supermarket. If you watch people, you can tell those who have found their true north in God and they are settled. Just the same way you can tell those who are not where they should be. And you can tell it in their gait, you can tell it in their speech, you can tell it even in just their body language. I can tell a person who is satisfied and at rest just by letting them drive me. I can tell. I have found that the calmest people I know are the people who have a storm raging on the inside of them. On the outside, they are really calm. On the inside, a storm is raging. What is it that can complete us? Is that completeness that we're looking at? And if we thought that it was because we were unbelievers, that's why we had these issues. So what's up with those of us in church who have these issues? So as the years went by, we became a lot more sophisticated in trying to assuage this hunger. So there's now alcoholism, there is now drugs, all kinds of things. All of this to do what? We are trying to fix something that is broken but can't be fixed by just a snap of the finger. We are trying to fix what only God can fix. We are trying to fix what only God can fix. We are trying to fix what only God can fix. And because we are trying to fix what only God can fix, we find ourselves breaking others in the process. Somebody wants things that enough money or more money will solve this issue for them. So when they get there, they are entrusted with the commonwealth of other people. And then they take it, they steal it all. Yet, it's not done. It doesn't stop the matter. Something that, oh, if I marry more wives, they now have 7 wives. The other person thought if I divorced my husband and I married a brand new husband, she's now on her 4th husband. Nothing has changed. Some people think if I just do drugs, the drugs will keep you in limbo for a few hours. The moment they wear off, you want more, because nothing can fill this. Now, in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 11, the Bible says God created man and he put eternity in the heart of man. Inside of man is what God is configured you for. That thing, because it is there, until you discover it in the modalities of one by one. How am I configured? What is my configuration supposed to birth? The thing that I birth, what problem is it supposed to solve? You will find yourself consistently on this thing. It's the barber's chair. You're consistently oscillating and turning round and round and round, but you're on the same spot, you are going nothing. You're going nowhere, you're building nothing, you're doing nothing. You're just seated at the same spot. And some of us have been on this spot for 4 years. Some of us have been on this spot for 20 years. Some of us have been at the same spot for 50 years. We're just standing still. We know we should move forward, but we have no idea whether to take the first step with our left leg or to take the next step in our right leg. We're just totally confused. What is so hard about this thing that is confusing? Why is it that confusing? The reason why it is confusing is that you have not answered to your why. And if I will explain to you what all of this means, it just means that in purpose, or in living a life where, yes, a purposeful life, there is something that God put you on earth for. There is something he created you to do. If you look at Jeremiah 1, when he talks about, before I formed you in your mother's womb, I knew you and I called you by name. Until you respond to that thing, it doesn't matter what you do, you can't move forward. Now, someone will say, but I want to respond. Yes, I know you want to respond. If it was that easy, all of us would not be on this call this evening. We won't be on this broadcast because these things are there for us to see. But there are templates, there are processes. There are people who have lived this and there are people who know how to do it. And that's why coming to Purpose University is a learning that we all must take. If we'll be able to take that first step in the direction where this hunger will be less and less and less and less. Let me tell you something, and I'm not lying to you. When I say to people that I'm not ambitious, they think I'm a slacker. I'm not a slacker. My husband will tell you that I'm one of the hardest workers that he knows, focused on the things that God has called me to. But the reason why I'm not ambitious the way people are ambitious is because I know my parameters and they fit me very well and I'm comfortable there. The only answer to the thing that makes you consistently want validation, and so you're trying to fill the hole with sex, trying to fill it with alcohol, you're trying to fill it with drugs, you're trying to fill it with shallow relationships. The only thing that can answer to this thing is that you find out what you are good for. Until you find it out, it's like this. And if you think, oh, she's trying to hype us into something, take a look at your life. Just quietly look at your life again and tell me. Why do you toss and turn at night? Why are you consistently sighing and hissing? And it's not because you don't have money. And it's not because you're sick in your body. What is responsible? Why are you feeling like there is more? Sometimes it's not even that something is wrong. I mean, if you have money and you live in a skyscraper somewhere, you have your choice of cars, your children are in the best schools, what else do you want? You have the best doctors at your beck and call. You have the ministers and all those people on speed dial. Why exactly are you sighing? You're sighing because regardless of all of that trapping, all those trappings, there is something missing, and that's the God factor. The God-sized Yearn, therefore, is the gap in every man's soul that can only be filled by the things that God has called man to do. And that's why you find some people, they begin to do work. They do one work from one work to another work, and it still doesn't work. Some people have taken up charity. If charity would solve this problem, a lot of people will not have the issue anymore. But you've done all the charity you know. You're still empty. You're still sad. What's causing the sadness? It's very simple. You're sad because the reason why you are here has not been fulfilled. And until you find out why you are here and you fulfill it, it doesn't matter what else you do. If they vacated Aso Rock today and they put you there, you will still be unhappy. If they look for the fairest maiden in the entire world and they give her to you for wife, you will still be unhappy. If they shut down all the central banks the world over and they give you the money, you'll still be unhappy. And now the thing about the God-sized yearn is as big as it feels when we have yet to embrace it and feel it. As big as it feels, sometimes it's just something really little. It's just for you to understand something really little, and you find yourself no longer having sleepless nights. You find yourself no longer asking rhetorical questions. You find yourself no longer questioning whether this is life and why you are here. We need to find it. And that's where I come in, because I can help you find it. It's what I've been doing for many years. And I think I have some of my Purpose University students here today, and they will tell you that I know how to help you find it. So today I'm opening up another stream of Purpose University to kick off in August. And if you want to be part of this stream, I'll tell you the terms later. But you see, the thing about this journey is it does not mean that you can't be too young or too old to take it. If fasting will solve the problem, I won't need to sit in front of you this evening. If prayer will solve the problem, I won't need to sit with you this evening. I've been in places when I've seen pastors who have not yet found what it is that they're on earth for. And you can tell in the way they deliver on their responsibilities. If I'll tell you a story, one that you all know, John C. Maxwell. He was pastoring, at least in that day, a church that was up to 10,000 membership. That was the original mega church in those days. He was a good pastor, a great pastor actually, by all intents and purposes. But you see, he was still just pastoring a church of max 20,000 people. Think about the number of books he's written today, because eventually, when he discovered his why, he had to step out of the role of a pastor. The point is, you can be doing the best job on earth and yet not be in the place where God has called you to be. And that scares me, because Jesus said something. He said, you will say, I cast out demons in your name, I did this, I healed the sick in your name, and I will say to you, I do not know you. Get thee behind me, ye worker of iniquity. If John Maxwell can step out of pastoring a church of over 10,000 because he knew that as the greatest pastor around, he was still mediocre when it came to the call of God inside of him. Think about it. And if you look at the demographics and you look at the spread of his reach after he stepped out of that thing, you will understand that sometimes it just takes one step for you to move into the thing that God has called you into, and for the vistas to open. Why are you here? Do you know why you are here? Many years ago, I might have told you this story before. My cycle was a cycle of depression. Once it became August, I know it's almost time. By September, like clockwork, I get into a funk. And that funk will last till December. September, October, 4 months of my life wasted being depressed. Somebody will say, are you no longer depressed? Oh no, I'm not. You can tell. And it wasn't a great job that completed me. It wasn't, I did not trade my husband for another person. That's not what completed me. I didn't get to have more children. That was not what completed me. Nobody opened the bank and asked me to take all the money in the vault. That's not what changed my story. What changed my story was one day I found out what I was here for. And because I found out what I was here for, And I gave myself to it, even when it seemed like nothing. I found out that I sleep better at night. I was the original insomniac. I would wake, I didn't know, I knew every crack in the ceiling of my house, the flat we lived in at that point. I knew where every crack was. Because at night when everyone else was sleeping, my mind would be doing a race. They laugh at me now. They say I snore for Africa. And I'm like, praise God, because there was a day I couldn't sleep, let alone snore. There is a peace that comes when you know why you are here. It's not even about the money you make out of it. Because if money will solve the problem, again, what is the problem of some people? They have all the money, yet they can't sleep. Do you know why you are here? I know it sounds like a rhetorical question. In Genesis chapter 11, the sons of men decided that accomplishments will solve that problem. So they decided to build a tower that will reach up to heaven. They thought unity would solve the problem. They didn't want to leave the place that we were in. All of that did not solve the problem. But when you go into the book of Exodus, there were people that there was a way God divided the jobs and the responsibilities in Exodus. Everybody had to bring something. The widow brought what they could bring. Those who had nothing to bring were asked to go and dye the things that were already available. Everybody brought stuff. And because everybody brought stuff, guess what happened? Everybody was satisfied. Everybody was fulfilled. The God side Yearn is caused by a lack of fulfillment. That's where I'm going. I told you that today's session is not a long session because I'm going to open the lines soon so that you can ask me questions. The God side Yearn is about fulfillment. What can change in your life that will make you feel like you lived? What needs to change? I know I'm asking a question and some of you are saying, if only I knew what needed to change, I would have been fine. Then I can help you. That's what the conversation is. But if you still don't know and you are entering your 30s already, don't be like many of us who found out the earlier you did, the better. You find that, you would, even if you were in your late teens and you discovered, you would read the proper course. You will look for the exact jobs that you are configured for if you are configured to work. And you find yourself that you live a lighter life. You'll find no need to amass things that don't make sense. You'll find no need to cheat and steal and defraud and all of those things that we do to answer to this hunger. You'll find no need to be crooked or to do so many things that people do, simply because you know your why. A lot of us don't know. And a lot of us don't want to do the work to know. That's another sad part of it. But if you drill, it is impossible for you not to meet water. If you drill, you will meet water. Material things will not feel it. Good works will not feel it. Finding your why is the only thing that works. And you can't copy another man's why. Why? Unfortunately, if not, those of us that are all now dealing in pure water would have been satisfied. You are not satisfied because it's not part of what you should have done. How do you discover your why? By looking at what God put inside of you. The thing I call your first dominion. I've talked about it before. Last week, in Purpose University, I was talking to them about the 7 mountains. I know I'm not going to share it here, but suffice to say that their eyes opened to the fact that some things that God has spoken to us are not suggestions. They are not suggestions. And living a life of purpose is not a suggestion. It is a mandate. You must find out why you are here. And when you find it, the first thing you'll find is you'll find rest. You'll find peace. And it doesn't matter how small or how big it is, you will just be okay. Do you know why you are here? I'm going to stop because I need you to ask me questions. If you ask me questions, I'll take them. Then because some people have complained to me that the last notice was too short, they couldn't put themselves together to join the stream of Purpose University currently in session. I thought to open it fast, registration early, so that people can pay in installments to be able to get in. So, what is your why? That's the question today. What is making you weep on the inside? What can fill that gap? I think I have the answer. I know I have the answer. Do you want to discover it? Do you have questions for me? I'm getting really good at this thing, yeah? I think I'm getting really good at it. Me too, I think so. I used to think so. Do you have questions? Let me get on this other phone so that I can see your questions. Does anyone have questions? If you have questions, you can ask me. If you have questions, please ask me. I know that the why is the big question. Yes, ma'am, that's the biggest question. If you answer it, every other thing will unfold as the moment you answer this one. Every other thing would unfold the moment you answer this one. So what is your own why? How do you discover purpose? Join Purpose University to hear the answer to that question. Because it's 10 weeks of teaching. Ask those who are there. That is 10 weeks of teaching. So we have only done 4 weeks, yeah? No, students can't ask questions from here. If you're a member of Purpose University, take your questions to DNA of Purpose group. You can't ask your questions here, especially if they are based on what we've taught. Or you can ask, then I'll decide whether there are questions that I can answer here or not. No questions. No questions. The mentoring session are sessions to build you in your walk with God and to make you a rounded or a whole Christian, if you like. That's the expression. But the mentoring sessions the mentoring is to mature you as a child of God. Purpose University is to discover your why. That's the difference. That's Njide that asked that question. Who else has a question? When will the next course start? It will start in August. It will begin in August. It will begin in August. The next class is beginning in August, but the registration will open tonight. If the registration opens tonight, I think between today and July 11th or so, or July 10th, is early bird. You can pay 75,000. After that is 97,000, but you can pay in installment. All of it to be paid before. I'm not sure what the dates are. Is Ijoma on this thing? Give me the dates, please. The first step to ascertaining your purpose is by discovering your first dominion. That's the first step. By discovering your first dominion, Maureen. That's the first step. The first step is to discover your first dominion. Now, you can't tell me to tell you what your first dominion is, because I don't know. The struggle between man and the devil to gain authority. Is man winning the race at all or no way near? Because the journey is individual, we win by understanding. Part of the winning is understanding this. Because you can't rule. Let me land it properly for you. That's Joyce. You cannot exercise your rulership if you cannot answer the why question. And the reason why it seems like man is not winning is because man cannot express his authority in the earth unless he knows his why. But if you ask me whether man is winning, yes, man is winning. Mentorship is a different conversation. It's not here. So if you want to know about mentorship, you need to talk to me, Heather, separately. I will not talk about cost of mentorship here because they are two distinct programs. I won't talk about mentorship here. It was because somebody asked the difference. That's why I highlighted the difference. But yes, can you do both concurrently? Yes, there are people in mentorship right now that are in Purpose University as well. You can do both of them together. Yes, you can. Can one run mentoring and Purpose University at the same time? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. It just means that you have more on your plate, but I have people here who are doing that. So yes, you can. I think actually if you run them concurrently, it helps you just, at the end of both things, you are a lot more ready for your next. Yes, next batch of mentoring starts on July 24th. Aha. While the next batch of DNA starts on the 22nd of August. Thank you. Actually, who is asking? Heather, mentoring is 50K per month and is a minimum of 6 months at 50K per month, Heather. But I will not show you the curriculum here. The curriculum is totally different from this curriculum. But the cost you wanted to know, that's 300K for 6 months. That's what mentoring is. Purpose University, you have already heard what the cost is. But I'm expecting people to ask me questions, though. The terms, Senami, the terms are 75K if you pay before July 10th or July 11th, I think. If you pay everything before July 11th, it's 75K, early bird. If you pay between now and I think the middle of August, you pay 97K, but you can pay that in installments. You can pay it in installments, but you pay the full fee, 97K. You're welcome, Grace. Any other question? Okay, my Purpose University people, talk. Razzmatazz them a little. Show them something. Where are my students? Oluyemi, I saw you here. Say something. Why does it take time to fulfill purpose? Because it's your entire lifetime. It's why you are here for your entire life. So if you live for 70 and you finish fulfilling purpose for 50, at 50, what will you do in many 20 years? That's why it takes a lifetime. It evolves, you know, some shut down, new ones come, new aspects come. That's why it looks like it takes a lifetime, because it consistently evolves as you grow and you mature, okay? But really, you're supposed to, because God needs you engaged in the rulership of the earth for all of your life. God needs you engaged in the rulership of the earth for all of your life. So you won't pack up at 50. When you won't pack up ruling at 50 when you still have the throne for another 20 years. You get it? What is the relationship between your purpose and favor drive? Favor drive, what's that? I think your purpose and favor drive. If you explain what you mean by favor drive, maybe I'll be able to answer your question. Because I don't think what I'm thinking is what you're thinking. So Esther, please break down the words favor drive, then I'll be able to answer your question. So say something. Busola, say something. All you Purpose University people. Titi Layo, speak. What did you learn last week? Just drop one word. Let me see. We don't have questions, or we're still typing it. Are we typing our questions, or we understand totally and thoroughly? Will I have another free session? Yes, I will. I'm nice. I'll keep having free sessions, but they are never within the curriculum. So you can wait for the next 2 years. I'll continue to give free sessions. But questions? Questions? Yes, we learned mountains and dominions. Yes. That was something, wasn't it? It was something. Purpose University is made up of 10 modules. And we have, this Saturday we'll be looking at multiplication in the 21st century. What does it mean? Favor drive, things that come easy to do. And those other things and others are willing to help out. If that's what you call it, you are referring to an aspect of your first dominion. You are referring to an aspect of your first dominion. Does the Purpose University run on weekends? Yes, only Saturday evenings. Saturday evenings. We deliberately put it on a Saturday evening, so it doesn't matter where you live in the world, you can participate. And even if you walk. But you see, when you sign on, you have access to it for a whole year. You have access to the university for a whole year. So while we hold lectures on Saturday evenings, you can always go back and watch over and over, or take the courses or the modules, do the replay over and over and over. We also have ourselves Purpose University on the Teachable online training platform. So we don't just use Facebook. You will get into Teachable, and then you can have access on the Teachable platform for a whole year after the course is over. So you have access for 12 months, which means that in the next 12 months, you can still interact with the content and do what it is that you need to do. Yes, it helps to clear that, yes. Is there a difference between the Discovering Purpose on your website and Purpose University? The Discovering Purpose on your website, on my website, is a link that takes you to Purpose University. That's what it does. It's a link that takes you to Purpose University. That's what it does. The university is where we talk purpose. The website just highlights it. Questions? Okay, so I have how many more minutes? I have 10 more minutes if you have questions. Otherwise, I'll take it you understand what it is that we've said. And if you want to register for Purpose University, you can send me a message and I'll send you in the right direction. But if you just want to follow the link, when we're done, the form will be posted in this group. You can just follow the form. There will be a link to the form in the group. You can follow that link and go and register if you want to register. You can also talk to either Liz Taylor, Elizabeth Taylor, that's her Facebook name, or Ijeoma Obi, and they will respond to you on how to become a part of Purpose University. Yes, if you want to buy the course, that is. Do we have other questions? Yes, we must operate in learning. The system of the world is controlled by Satan and his agents, has control over the area of agencies from media to family. Yes, yes, yes. That's just it. So if you don't know, you don't know. So how do you get find your place in the scheme of rulership. And man, those of us who are in Christ, must take over the reins of rulership. Otherwise, he consistently deploys his agents and the world is consistently falling apart. So purpose investing isn't just a field of purpose, discovering your purpose and living a life that we're talking about. It's not so that you will feel good. It's so that you can obey God's instruction for you. That's what all of this is about. And until you get there, if you like sleep on a bed of money, you still won't be able to sleep, unfortunately. The places where they pop the greatest amount of pills and stuff like that is in the places where we think all the creature comforts exist. And yet you see one man who has not eaten for 3 days under a bridge and he's snoring. What is the difference? They have peace. He's where he is and he's doing what he can do. So it's not the trappings, it is the why. If you answer the why, you move forward. That's what this conversation is about. All righty, if we don't have any more questions, do you need me to do anything again? Otherwise, yes, your theology must impact your sociology. Otherwise, you are wasting kingdom time. All of that you learn in purpose investing. All of that you learn in purpose investing. All righty. Any more questions? In the absence of, how do they say it? If we don't have any more questions, I'd like to bring this to a close. No. Leviticus is not part of Purpose University. Leviticus is next week. That class starts next week. You guys are not praying hard enough for me. I may still move it by 1 week. You're welcome in today. The tester sessions, yes, very insightful. I believe so. And this is the third one. So if you scroll down into the group, you will see native abilities. You'll see the case for purpose. They are really powerful stuff and they're free. So you can always go back there and watch. Yes. Any other questions? All righty. So I'll probably bring it to a close here. Till next time, I don't know when I'll have another tester session, if I can. This has been Bidemi Mark-Mordi. And I truly, truly, truly would pray that whether you sign up for Purpose University or not, that you discover why you are here and that you make God proud. Whether you do it through this platform or you find somewhere else to do, some other way to understand it and do it, it will be my joy that you get there and you get it done, okay? So thank you so much for your time this evening. I'll see you next time when I don't have the time to do this. I would have loved to do this a lot more often, but I have a lot of, my hands are full, so I'm not able to do it as consistently as I'd like. But I'm hoping that I'll be able to do once a month and just do a free session here. Because whether you pay or you don't pay, I want you to get it. And as long as you get it, I think my work will be done. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your evening. Again, if you want to sign up, the mentoring sessions begin on the 24th of July, I'm told. And Purpose University begins on the 20-something of August, Abby. That's what they said. I'm just working for all of them. So whenever they send me the calendar, I will line up behind it. If you want to be part of the mentoring sessions, you need to send me a private message and I will share the curriculum with you for that one. But for Purpose University, everything is in this group, from the curriculum to the link for registration. It's in this group. Thank you so much and have a good evening. Bye-bye.